60 men were killed in the worst special operations disaster in modern history.
Residents of Coronado, California were shocked by the brutal murder of Lauren Reece and her 3-year-old daughter.
Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander James Reece survived the ambush but is under investigation.
Welcome to the Terminal List Podcast, an Ironclad original series brought to you by KC Cattle Company. I'm Jack Carr, author and creator of The Terminal List. On each episode, we break down a different episode of the Amazon Prime Video series starring Chris Pratt. On today's show, we're taking a look at the finale, Reclamation. Joining me today, once again, is showrunner David DiGilio. And if you're just joining us for this one, maybe go back to the beginning. And if you have not watched the series yet, definitely watch it before you listen to this podcast or any of our previous podcasts. But David DiGilio, showrunner. A showrunner is like the singular point of contact from inception all the way through the entire process, and is that leads this team. So, showrunner David DiGilio, thank you so much for being here. And Jared Shaw, actor, boozer in this particular series right here. Technical advisor, producer, and the reason that we are all here today on this podcast and the reason that the show exists. So thank you guys so much for being here. And man, I don't want to even finish this because then we don't have any more to do. Hopefully we will in a year or two or 3 or however long it takes, but I like that hopefully idea. We will. But for this series, for these 8 episodes, this is the last one. We're talking about the finale.
Wow.
How is it possible?
Crazy.
Is it okay if I pour a little?
Let's do it. So a little Hoot and Young, and for those who are paying attention in earlier episodes or that were paying attention in the series, right there, Hoot and Young. And I wanted to get some veteran-owned whiskey company into the show, and there's a few of them out there. But we thought we'd throw Delta Force a little nod for all that they have done, since their inception, really. But Hoot and Young, so Norm Hooten, played by Eric Bana in Black Hawk Down. This is Norm Hooten right here, and he signed this bottle for me, sent it out here. Of course, we got a little Go Army on there, but so he sent this out a while ago, and so I'll pour a little bit for this episode. There we go.
Jared has a long drive home, so not for you.
Sorry, but I'm with y'all. I'm with
all
you.
Right, there you go. Here we go. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much. And look at this. This is my Terminal List whiskey glass right here. Long Live the Brotherhood 2021. Dave, thanks so much for sending this. So, cheers to you both.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So before we get into that, though, into this episode, recent book tour that I did for the latest novel, In the Blood, and people give me all sorts of coins and stuff and whiskey, and it's so humbling. So many veterans and so many first responders, police officers, firefighters, people in the military. But a guy brought this, so old school recruiting bumper sticker pamphlet from the 70s for the SEAL teams. Yeah, so
it's like a collector's item.
Yeah, it said, "Be a frogman, join our Navy," and
how
there
cool.
it is. You guys can see it in that one right there. And other people can see it on this camera right there. So somebody brought that. And then this right here. So check that out. So a pamphlet like from your recruiting office, and there's old Vietnam style photos in there. UDT SEAL, it says right there. Vietnam picture right there. Look at that. I mean, recovering a space capsule. Amazing.
History.
Look at that. Yeah, right there. Men with green faces. Look at those guys right there. Vietnam getting after it. Some riverine ops. This is a very famous photo, or a piece of a very famous photo from Vietnam right here. Guys carrying the stoner in this one. But here it is. It says, reviewed and approved 1 November 1971.
Wow.
There's a stamp on there, and it says Navy Recruiting Branch Station, Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Man, that is awesome.
You can't get that anywhere like that. Yeah, that's amazing. Hold on to that.
It's like almost perfect condition, and it says, if you're going to be something, why not be something special? The Navy. Boom.
How cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
That was amazing.
Don't leave that laying around, Jack. I'm just saying.
I need to put that in the safe or something. Like I got to make sure that the dog doesn't get to that, the kids don't get to that. You know, they figure out a good spot. I think the safe's maybe the only safe place in this house.
Don't tell me where you hide it. That's all I'm saying. Don't tell me where you hide it.
Yeah, I bet you could find stuff like that. I bet on eBay stuff goes up, from time to time. Just like boxes of things. I'm sure they're out there.
Yep.
But and then also, I'm just trying to prolong this because I don't want to let you guys go, even though we just still talk every day, about future projects and everything else that we have going on. But look at all this stuff right here. Terminal List Coffee, right here. I mean, I think there are two separate veteran focused foundations that the 100% of these proceeds go towards, and this was something that Amazon did with Black Rifle Coffee. So you get this through Amazon, but it's through the Amazon charitable side. So everything goes to these two different veteran focused foundations.
Is it Best Defense?
Nope, this one is because we broke. Best Defense has some. We're doing things for that with them with Rescue 22.
Yep.
The 511 sweatshirt that was for the Navy SEAL Museum down in Fort Pierce, Florida, and this one is for. I'm gonna mess it up because it's a hard name. Hunters 7 Foundation. Anyway.
Yeah.
People can go and explore on, I think, the Black Rifle Coffee website that'll link you to the Amazon charitable side of the house. And so we got this. So the show is doing. I mean, it's not just a show that's out there to watch. I mean, they're doing some pretty cool things.
Some real good. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's this that exists, and we talked about 511 coming in, and then this was cool too. So the hardcover, I mean, we talked about it before, but here we go. We got this is the trade paperback, and this is paperback, and usually they just do something like this for a movie tie-in. So this would be fairly typical. This is pretty cool to have both, but I can't think of another show that has done a hardcover.
That's wicked
right here. Mm-hmm. And in this one, I talk about how the show came to be, how the series came to be, and a new forward. And then there's some Justin Lubin photos from the set in here. So Justin was there every day with us,
Justin,
grabbing these amazing
Cheers
photos.
to Justin.
Check out, Justin Lubin on Instagram. He's been posting a lot of them, so be sure and
great
go
stuff.
follow Justin
Great
Lubin
behind
on
the scenes
Instagram.
content. Yep.
Yeah, amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. So that's out. That also Extreme Props. Gary Tours on Instagram. He's been itemizing out the different weapons from the series. So that's really cool to see. So people can go to that. But I bring this up, well, one, because it's pretty cool, but two, because we played a little joke on Chris, and we had to tell him that it wasn't really selling with his picture on the cover. It wasn't really doing it. So we had to come up with another one. So so we have this. I need to fold this around a book and send it to Chris. So I'm gonna do that.
So good.
I'm gonna fold this around and send it. And I signed
Taylor
it right
Kitsch.
there.
Is that the signed Taylor Kitsch Ben Edwards edition?
So no, I just signed this one. We need to get Taylor to sign it. Yeah.
Right.
So Amazon sent these out.
So good.
And if you look closely, this is what it says here. It's of course that's Taylor on the cover as Ben Edwards.
Yep.
And it says now an original series starring Taylor Kitsch on Prime Video.
Perfect.
So
you showed that to Chris at the junket day.
I did. I think somebody showed up at the junket.
And so good.
Yeah. And so they brought that up. So now we have a few of them out there. I think they're going to, Amazon's going to do some sort of, I got a couple of them to maybe in the future auction off or something like that, raise some money for another veteran focused foundation or something along those lines. But
so good.
that was pretty clever.
Fantastic.
Obviously this one says now an original series starring Chris Pratt on Prime Video. So we had to change that to get the details. The details are important.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah,
so funny.
Details are important right there. Man, I think we got to start though, but not before I talk about these things. The premiere, amazing. We all got to link up at that premiere and it was so cool. And when I walked into that after party, I mean, I didn't make it very far. Yep. And so luckily a friend grabbed a bunch of matchbooks out there, Terminal List matchbooks. It says it's a conspiracy. This one says your memory makes you question the truth. So we got a bunch of those and the coasters, and they had axe throwing, they had drinks, had it was a really cool event.
It was
super fun.
It was a really special premiere. I don't go to that many of those, to be honest, and that one stood out because we were able to bring so many of our cast and crew. Because we shot this during a pandemic, we were not able to do what we would normally do, which is a big cast and crew screening of the pilot. partway through the season. It's a big morale booster, gets everybody fired up. It's really a great way to go in terms of, as you're knee deep in a first season of TV, it's a great way to kind of let people see why you're putting in the effort. And because of the pandemic and all these things, we weren't allowed to gather the whole cast and crew to show the episode. So we never had it. And you either do it kind of partway through the season or right when you finish. Never had it. And we said to Amazon and MRC when we got ready to do this premiere, we said we really want to be able to celebrate cast and crew. Chris was really instrumental in helping us do that. Antoine as well. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And they picked a venue that allowed us to do it. And wow, that was a real celebration and a reunion. I mean, really was a reunion. Great to see everybody.
Yeah, that was incredible. And we had veterans that the Best Defense Foundation brought out, World War II veterans.
Yep.
A couple of them I'd been in Normandy with just a couple weeks prior, going to the commemoration events in Normandy, which for anyone listening, if you haven't been out there, you only have a few more years left because these guys are all getting up there, either creeping up on 100 or past 100 years old. And to go out to Normandy with them and to stand on the beaches that they stormed, in the fields where they crashed gliders or landed, in the towns that they landed in, and they jumped out of their aircraft with 101st Airborne. Man, to be in those places with them in these last years of their lives is pretty powerful. But then to see the people of France come out, American flags everywhere, 101st Airborne flags everywhere, 82nd Airborne flags everywhere, people dressed it up in period specific and accurate clothing, military Willys Jeeps everywhere from World War II. I mean, it gives you a lot of hope. And I encourage everybody that can to go out there and just be there. Just be there around, in the early part of June. And head on out and spend some time there. So they got to come to the premiere. That was cool for those guys to be there. It was cool for us. I mean,
really cool.
Just to be there with them was amazing. And then you're right. I haven't been to any premieres, but to see Chris, the talk that he gave us outside, just all of us before we walked on stage, like that was cool. It speaks to the true character of the man. And goes back to Once an Eagle. See your character, your reputation will take care of itself. Chris is that guy, and he got to personify that on screen. But what he said to us before we walked on, and then when we go up on stage, and he gave a little speech there to the whole audience when we're all up on stage there, and to be included in that as the as an author was really special. So thanks to everybody that made that happen. That was incredible.
Really cool experience. Really cool. And like you said, it's a reunion. Everybody. If Ray Mendoza goes, it's pretty special. We couldn't get Max Adams there, unfortunately, but
we tried.
Yeah, we tried. But if Ray goes, then
that's
it's something
big.
Special.
It's something special.
Yeah, and it was. And then the premiere, the three of us, I don't think we saw each other till the end of the night.
That was crazy.
Yeah. I saw you once I finally got up to where Antoine was. In the party, I saw Dave, and then as we're leaving, we finally linked back up, and then linked back up at the hotel. Yeah. But what a great night! That was amazing.
Great night.
So cool.
Yep.
Like a reunion. It was like a reunion to see everybody. Justin Lubin, photographer, was there. Brought his son. That was really special. Really special night.
Yep.
Man, we're going to have to start talking about this episode at some point, though. So
all right.
might as well dive right in here. And right here, Reclamation. Dave, why Reclamation? What part of the brain is this?
Well, this is the moment. I mean, as the word kind of infers, right? That your hero comes full circle, finishes the journey, and reclaims that which he has lost. And specifically here, we'll get to it at the end, but that notion of the starling memory, and the reclamation of that, the full recall that happens when he's completed the list. We've talked about it. It really was important to kind of have this kind of emotional, psychological MacGuffin that he could finally reach, right? After everything he's been through. And for us, as we kind of built towards it, I mean, he's got a long way to go just in this episode alone. But we knew that it sat out there as this, I think it was part of the original pitch, Jack, when we talked. I told you about this and that he would finally get to that moment. And we'll speak to the power of it in order when we get there. But it speaks, the title speaks to that moment at the end of the episode.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is, I mean, the power at the end of this episode, not just with the final confrontation and the final name, but then what you just talked about, sitting there. So many people have reached out about that final scene on the couch with Lucy and Lauren. Like, well, we'll get to it. It's a good, I mean, oh man, you guys, amazing. But it opens, gas station, Pacific Northwest, and Ben's in the bathroom putting on the disguise, looking at the hair, looking at the whole, and I wonder if people thought if he was gonna cut his hair,
Oh, we had all kinds of talk. We talked about this, we really, it was a big question. Would we go with a wig or would we cut the hair? Ooh. And ultimately it was that one wig that Gene found that made us say, oh nope, you gotta just go wig, because we still had stuff we had to shoot with long hair, right? So it becomes a real problem just production wise if you have to somehow cut his hair and then create a wig that matches what he had before. Again, these are all the little intricacies of making the sausage, but it's so weird. And we had the same thing with Chris's beard, all of that. It becomes a big deal. And this is an example of it. There's a little tiny kind of pickup moment in this opening where he's in the van and Ben is in the bathroom putting on his disguise. And Chris had talked about, we don't have the pills. We don't have the pills in this episode. And I'm about to go do some serious shit. I think we need to see Reece take his pills in this episode. And so if you remember this, Jared, we were doing our opening of 101 pickup.
Yep, platoon space.
Yep. And we brought the van out to that spot, the van that we had used, the Ben surf van. We brought it out. George Sack and his team got it out there. And in between, like a turnaround or something that was going on, or maybe it was actually the final, shot with Chris of the night. We got him back into his wardrobe from the finale. He had his beard on, and we, had the prop pills, and we grabbed that. And that's why it's in there, because it's important for people to know, like, you can control the physical symptoms of this tumor via these pills. It's important because he does some serious shit in this one. You had to see it. Yeah. And that's how that moment came.
Yeah, that's part of the preparation of him going to work, him going to battle. Same way he puts on his kit and everything else. He knows, like, that's one thing that he can control is taking those pills to have him ready to go have to operate. So that was a great call to add that. And then going back to Ben in the bathroom doing his whole appearance change. What I realized last night is how much I liked the song playing during that. Yes. And I don't remember the name of it. It just hit me when I was watching it last night. Yeah. Like, man, what a great choice that was for that whole scene of Ben changing up his look. It was just, that was a great choice of the song. It was a whole mood. It just set the whole mood for that scene taking place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get Chris back in there. You look like Patrick Swayze. He lives in his van. Was that in the script, or was that Chris?
That's Chris, baby. On the day. Just rocking it, I mean, I think he gave us maybe 4 or 5 different versions, and then you go in the edit and you grab the funniest one. And it was
Yeah,
really
that's
this.
perfect.
This is something. So this is, I think, really important to talk about, which is we built this episode. Lisa Long, Hannah Sikander, they're the writers of this episode. We've talked, by the way, about like our strong women characters. We've talked about the strong women in our lives. And actually, these last three writers we've just talked about, Brooke with 107, Lisa and Hannah, that's the strong women in the room. Man, they are badasses. And one thing that Lisa and Hannah really, brought into this is we wanted this to be a road trip, right? Before we get to the Hartley thing, we wanted to have the kind of classic road movie, right? We've talked about our homages, before to Michael Mann, our First Blood episode. This is our road movie with these two characters. And you guys know what it's like. When you hit the open road with your best friend, there are few things like it. And, it's a celebration of our country in terms of what you see. And then it's something about those long drives and those quiet moments at a gas station in the middle of the night. Those are like those moments of just friendship and brotherhood, but also often of levity. And so we knew that this road trip kind of vibe and theme was so important because we needed to have Ben trying to pull that levity out of Reece before that final confrontation at Hartley's. Mm-hmm. And that's what the guys are doing in this. And, we have versions of it layered in, and then they have fun with the dialogue and improvising and stuff. But damn, that's the importance of this, is seeing Reece and Ben on the open road and seeing the way they just interact as friends before we get to the darkness. And I really appreciate these kind of moments of levity that Chris and Taylor find in this. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, for sure. And that, Dave, that I found out in post what Chris's favorite line of the entire show was in 108, and they, when Ben comes back from the gas station restroom, sits down, they have that little back and forth, and then Ben tells him, like, hey, Hartley's got security, and he tells him it's Talos, and it gets serious at that moment. They joke, and then it gets serious, and Reece says, she knows I'm coming, and Ben says, yeah, she does. Does it matter? And there's a little pause, and Chris says, no, it doesn't matter. It hasn't mattered to this point,
Yeah.
And the look, I mean, Dave, in post, I think we even talked about it. That look, I even sent a picture of it to Chris during post. That look when he's just sitting there and that dialogue is going back and forth, you just see he's in a different space. He just almost looks like a different human at that point. Like he's getting ready to go to work,
completely,
and he's fully committed, and he's ready to go, and it doesn't matter if she knows he's coming. He's coming. And
the weight, the impact of that. It's like, amplified because they've just had this joke between them. Mm-hmm. They've just been he's eating chips. They haven't, and then dead serious.
Yep.
Hasn't mattered yet.
Yep.
And then boom, we cut and we find Katie going over Deception Pass, heading in to the San Juan Islands, right? This is where we had to take some liberties here. This was a tough one. We actually wanted this to be Fisher's. We wanted to just follow the book. But at the script phase, we realized we had an issue of getting them across country in the sheer scale of the manhunt, right? Because our production, we had to kind of contain it more into the Western U.S.
Yeah.
So I've been to the San Juans. Chris has been to San Juan's. It's a incredible spot in our country. And again, in terms of this road trip, we could keep it just by going from San Diego up into the San Juans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that, Jared. I didn't know that was his favorite line, but I get it just from the performance alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Amazing. I didn't either till he pointed it out, which was, there's so many moments in this entire show. So it was kind of cool to hear from him what that most special bit of dialogue was, and he just, you see something different in him when he's saying that.
Yeah.
Man, and then we see Hartley's estate. And you guys, how did you guys end up finding the estate that we ended up being a pretty special place?
This was quite a remarkable find. We obviously, hopefully you all think we went to Orcas Island. We did not. We were filming in and around LA. That was part of the deal of this show. And Lake Arrowhead, just northeast of Los Angeles. Turns out it's a pretty remarkable place. But trying to find a waterfront property that really fit. Also, I think Hannah took her kind of map of Hartley's compound kind of from the book in terms of how we wanted to construct it. But this notion of a peninsula, a house kind of on a peninsula, so we could have approach from multiple sides, was a big thing. And this is an incredible scout day. We ended up, because this, I believe, was like in the middle of or maybe the start of like a 46-hour shift. They actually got a helicopter for us so we could get up and do the scout and get back to do Cox's scene, because that was all one day. We had to scout and find Hartley's compound and then get back to shoot at night that incredible scene. So we were up in a helicopter, my only time in a helicopter. I noticed some of the operators didn't want to go on the helicopter.
What do you mean?
Why was it not leaking?
What, you think I volunteered to stay back on the Cox thing? What?
No, I can't remember who it was. Maybe Max. Somebody was just like, I'm not going on that thing.
Oh, I had no desire. I was good staying back.
Yep. And but what was remarkable is we were up above Arrowhead, heading. We had to land at Big Bear Lake, so we had to fly past Arrowhead. But as we went over Arrowhead, we saw it, and we knew immediately just by looking down. We're like, "That's Hartley's."
Wow!
And it was truly one of those magical moments in what's called prep. When you're prepping the next episode, where you walk into a real location owned by a wonderful family tied to Disney animation. Really an incredible, I won't say the name, but just an incredible kind of icon in the Disney animation family. A lot of our favorite characters that we've seen come from this family. And there it was, just, it is Hartley's compound. It is that family home. And thank goodness. Because at that moment, and thank you to Amazon and MRC for letting us go shoot up there. Because it does cost more. You move out of what's called the zone. You really push it. You move the whole company, to go shoot up there. And it's a big deal. And we had I think it makes the finale, that location.
Yep. No question.
Yeah. No, and then you see Hartley's out there, and you have Katie out there, and they're having this conversation outside first.
Yeah.
Outside at first.
Yep.
Then it'll move inside for the next scene. But they're starting their battle of wits, essentially.
Yes. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, and then to see them, I mean, see Constance and Jean, work together. I love it. And watching it again last night, I like it more and more every time I see it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I mean, Constance crushes this. Jean, amazing. Like,
amazing.
Gosh, I mean, they just crush it. But the outside scene's starting to set it up. And what do you remember about doing that scene, filming that one?
A couple things. One of the coolest moments I've had as a showrunner was getting to run lines with Jean Triplehorn. Man,
nice.
It's rare that I get to do it. I did it one time with Chris on a 102 scene, and Jean just was like, "Oh, I want to run lines," and I kind of looked around and nobody was there, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it," And man, I mean, Jared, you get to do this, but for me, it's like a real moment. I acted growing up and then switched over to writing and producing, and to just sit, and again, we're just running lines, but to sit across from an actor with those kind of chops and just watch them work up close. Wow. That was super cool. So I knew it was going to be an awesome scene just from that. And then Constance sits down and they just go into this battle of wits. And Sylvan White, who directed 106, is directing this. And they are very different episodes. 106 is all kind of handheld, kinetic, moving. And I look at kind of where he's placing the camera with Armando Salas, our DP. And I'm like, oh, this is just an actor's dream. This is just pure mano a mano acting. And they both brought it. And it really knocks Katie on her heels, that first scene, right? Because Hartley is talking about legacy, talking about real issues about PTSD and mental health in our troops and how neglected those two things have been historically. And so you really have this moment where you're kind of knocked back on your heels. And she registers it. I love it. That's another great thing with acting is the listening. And when Katie hears that Hartley didn't know about the tumors and how off that feels, like Constance has this great beat of just listening to it. And then she responds, and really Jean comes out on top, right? Hartley comes out on top in interview one. So that's what I remember from the scene. And then one other thing, which is there's a bunch of drunk teenagers on Lake Arrowhead in a party boat yelling, right. Chris Pratt, Chris Pratt. Because Lake Arrowhead can be a little bit of it
can get a little crazy.
Yeah. And someone found out that Chris was there, and we had to send the Marine unit out to wrangle some very loud.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's funny. That's I forgot about that, Dave. Very funny. And talking about that scene with Jean and Katie sitting there, it was this show in general. I really understood how important writing is, and how important good writing is, and watching it again last night, and that interaction between Katie and Hartley, and just what was being spoken. And then seeing and knowing that the actors understood the material, but the writing in this show across the board, which is another reason I think people love it so much. It's not lazy writing. It's such good writing, and that was a perfect example. That scene between those two, Dave, like you said, Hartley won that round. She kind of put Katie on her heels, and you see that whole thing go down, and it just, that the writing is the foundation of everything. And like I said, on this show, I really learned that. So Dave, once again, well done, my friend.
That was a group, it's a team effort. Again, tremendous draft comes in from Lisa and we have great work in the ladder through Dan Shattuck and Max Adams. Gets to me, it's just about making sure we're in the voice of the show and everything is singing. And just an awesome script overall. This finale, I love. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no. And Jared, your writing, oh my gosh, like we're working on a couple of things, the three of us here, separate but connected to this. And your writing is friggin' top notch. Really amazing. So, I mean, you've got talent there, and you've been honing it, and it's
thank you.
It's impressive.
I appreciate that. I've been blessed enough to have good teachers and mentors in this space, and I try to learn. I'm telling Dave all the time, like, hey, let me be a fly on the wall. And Dave graciously every time pulls me in and lets me learn. So thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to get in there and learn it, because it is so important, it's hugely important. So thank you.
Always.
Oh, too cool. And yes, I love most about the last couple of years is the friendships and also how much I've learned just being a sponge. Like that first conversation with Dave in December of 2019, and then every day since, like I've been learning so much. Yeah. And Dave's been incredible about teaching, and like it's just, what a crazy journey it's been. And then getting to spend some time with Jean and getting to know her. I mean, what an amazing person. She crushes this role.
She's awesome. Right.
And I know it's coming, because obviously, because I wrote the book.
Yeah.
But, you're in these scenes and you're like, and then you know her personally and you're kind of like, so it's crazy to see these transformations. And anyway, it's just incredible. But Dave, I'm not going to let you off the hook real quick, because you did say something you kind of brushed over and I didn't know. You did some acting growing up, you said? Go on. You hope I was going to come back to that, didn't you?
I was.
What was that?
Man.
What were those things?
That was
I do not know
half
this.
my life. I was, half sports and half acting from like age 8 on. I started acting when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I was a kid who grew up on movies, and just at a really young age was like, I'm gonna do that. From age 8 or 9, I'm gonna do that. Wow. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I was the kid who had like the leads in the high school play, but then I got to college and I became a character actor, and I was going, what the, I'm not the funny guy. Like I'm the lead. That's what I do. I'm the lead.
Number one on the call sheet.
Come on now. And so then for my senior thesis at school, I wrote a one-man show about the psychology behind serial murder. I was a psych major.
This was the right show for you.
Exactly, right?
Man.
So I kind of wrote this show because I thought it was a really cool kind of theory about why this might be happening. I read Mindhunter. I was spoke as part of my research, spoke to an incredible agent, and I thought for sure this was going to be a great experience. But also I was like, this is also my FU to all you people who thought I was just a character actor. I'm the leading man. That's a one-man show. It's it.
Wow.
And doesn't matter. You're still number one on the call sheet. You got it.
That's it. But the irony was I literally never acted again. It was the first play that I wrote, and I just became a writer from then on.
Oh, wow.
That was it. And I never acted again. Just pure love, fell in love with the writing process by writing that play. And but yeah, that's my brief history of acting there.
You wrote it, and you knew from that point, like, hey, that's my transition, and this is now what I want to do.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because Jack, you knew you were going to be a SEAL and then become a writer.
That's
For me, I really didn't think anything about on the writing side. I only thought about the athletics and acting and some academics, but mainly athletics and acting. That was it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I did not know that. Well, if we do a season 2, maybe there's a cameo. Maybe
we're going to figure out another way to get you in there.
There's another. I'll shave.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. But also I love how this one goes back and forth. So now we're back after this scene. We're back with Chris and Taylor, Ben and Reece in the van heading up, and we get another moment of levity. And Ben, did I see that? You have a smile, like that line, which is great. And then how he follows it up with, for a minute there, I thought we were both losing our minds, or something. It's like great.
And arguing over the radio, right? Which is music, like the most road trip thing ever, right? That's the most road trip thing ever. Absolutely love that. And Chris's reaction to the country song that comes
yeah,
that's a good song.
That's a good song. Yeah, and the smile. So humanizing them a little bit, a little bit more, which is important, which is what I think about in the novels as well, is humanizing these characters. And maybe if you didn't have a background like Jared and I do, it's maybe easier to write characters like that as more of a caricature of things that you think SEALs are like, or like Delta operators are like, or something like that. But if you lived it and you know these guys and you know their families, and you've been down range with them and been to barbecues with them, and have been in horrible situations and been in great situations, and been at birthday parties for their kids and all that. The importance of humanizing these characters, with also happens to make them more relatable, to a reader or a viewer. It's just that's a byproduct of it. That's natural. But we have them in the vehicle, have a moment of levity, and then boom, here we are on a bridge. There's no escape, and the police are out there, and there's a roadblock. And little, similar to something in the novel, but a little different now. But still, there's a police officer involved coming up. You have to talk your way out. It's a different character. Liz does it in the book, and now we have Ben doing it here. But there's the question of, what would they do? Are they going to shoot their way out? Ben moves for a pistol at some point. Reece has one in the back. It's another one of those questions, like we talked about in the last episode, with the drowning scene with Cox and the family there. How far would he go? Yeah. And same thing right here in this scene. But of course, there's Mr. Adams. Is that our Max Adams here? We get a little. So we got Mr. Adams as the alias for Taylor Kitsch as Ben Edwards. So we get Max Adams' name in there. Wonderful. And then the female police officer. Do you remember the name on hers?
Soren.
Is that Sorenex?
No, that's actually my assistant. That's a throw to my assistant.
Interesting.
Yes,
because a bunch of people are calling because we have Sorenex gym equipment in Reece's garage. Yes. And a bunch of people are texting Bert Soren and saying, "Look, they put Soren in the show."
It can be both.
It can be both. Let's go with that. Let's go with both. Yeah, that's how it goes. But we have this scene, and Taylor takes most of it there, and Reece is hiding in the back.
Dude, I love that.
Don't know exactly what's going to happen, and
the way the way that is shot. That's some great patient filmmaking, and Scott Turner edited this one as well, and just putting those pieces together. And that's a day, that's a heavy day. We're out there, in the heat, all of that, the guys in the band forever. But it really pays off when you get to see it put together like that. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just pouring a little bit more of a drink here.
Nice.
Yeah, that scene is watching it again last night. That's the type of deal your hands start sweating a little bit when you're watching it, because that anxiety starts building, even though I've once again seen it so many times.
Dude, when Ben
reaches,
ID
number doesn't work, first time,
and Ben reaches down, he reaches down for that pistol between his legs.
Yeah,
like that makes you think, like, it's that close. It's that close to going so south in that moment. And Ben would have pulled, then Reece would have pulled, and it would have been game on, and they would have had to fight their way out of it. But Ben was committed. He had his back, and like.
Yep. I love that line too when he's like, "We'll make it through. We gotta." He says it to the windshield. Yeah, like through the windshield. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have that. Yeah, that's incredible. And we have Tony and Mac also having a conversation with another great line in there about they're pretty sure the guys we've been chasing are the guy we've been chasing is the victim, and the people Reece is gunning for are guilty as sin.
Oh yeah.
You know, something like, what a great line. You know,
So
Dude,
good.
I love that moment where the two of them are leaning against the rail.
yeah,
And
that's when he says it.
and maybe we mentioned this in another episode, but now we get them all.
Now we get them all.
Dude, just and this is a really cool thing. Another sign of a great actor. Just the shift in kind of body, how he's carrying himself, how JD's carrying himself. His head forward. He just looks beefier. Like he physically is going to a different place with Tony in that moment. And so now you have the kind of figure of justice who is now also, it's kind of justice without constraint. Now we get them all. So you're just ramping up each of these key characters and their goals in this final moment of collision.
Yeah.
And that, dude, and bringing HRT back in that storyline as well.
Yeah.
And you just are wondering, how the hell is this going to end? And that's what you want in that finale. Just kind of turn every volume up to 11 and point them in the same direction.
Yeah.
Because these massive, immovable objects are about to collide.
Yeah, I love how you put that. Yep, that's exactly what it is. And then we have Katie and Hartley now moving inside, and I think this is where they talk about Hartley's father's suicide. Bring that in, talking about some family memories there. So we're tying that piece together.
Legacy,
darker,
right? Legacy.
We're legacy. Yep.
Yep.
We're once again exactly like you just said before. We're moving towards that collision.
Yep. I love that scene too because of how they filmed the Talos in the background.
Yeah.
It's just
Putting
in the ballistic
on the bar.
Yeah. It's
Things
so
over the windows
it's just, that's what you want, right? And we talked about this before, but that notion that no one's lying, they're just not telling the whole truth. Well, she has lied now. She has lied, and Katie's going to catch her in it. And that's the difference in this episode, right? Is finally someone has really lied. And so we need clues to counteract the half-truths, right? And I just think Katie is so smart in how she kind of looks and listens to what Hartley's saying, but then contrasts it with what Hartley is doing, right? Actions versus words. And that's what you just see Constance just totally thinking on it. I love it.
It's mental jujitsu the entire
Yes.
time. I mean, just the entire
Yes.
time. And yeah, you see it. You're exactly right. You see it with Katie. She's the entire time processing it. And you touched on it before. She's listening. You can see she's actively listening and putting the clues together. And you're watching it happen right in front of you. You know, she did great on it.
Crushed it.
And then Gene has that line about, it makes me human.
Yeah.
It's and then talking about PTSD and not needing, personal experience to want to bring it to it. Like it's all so great. Like once again, Jared, like you said, the writing, because that's what you have. All you have is two people in a room, and you have them and the writing. That's what you have. Incredible. But now we're back on the road, and we have the first mention of Rafe.
Yes. Yes.
In the car. Yep. I don't know how you trust that motherfucker.
Yes.
I trust you, don't I? And then the eyes. It's just the eye like that.
Yeah.
It's just, I love that part. And everybody's waiting for Rafe, though.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. We should get in.
Fans are waiting for Rafe.
We should get into this. I think we should let people in on what we went through.
Okay.
We tried to cast Rafe this season. We tried. It's actually, it's a key moment in the book. He's one of all of our favorite characters. So I think
Fan favorite. So you knew how important it was, and you kept bringing it up, how important it was. And now, obviously, for me, who's lived with it for years on end, hearing from people how they want more Rafe, more Hastings family, have more questions, can't wait to see who Rafe's going to be if it gets turned into something. Yeah. But you recognized it right off the bat as well. Yep. And so here we are at this point where he would have come in this storyline, telling this story visually, and we can't find the right guy.
You can't. Well, it's not even that you can't find the right guy. It's like you can't make the deal with the right guy. And this was the hard thing. And this is kind of a lesson in real nitty gritty of making TV. But to make a 1 episode deal with a major piece of talent, because Rafe needs to be big, right? He has to be a real name. And then hold them off of 1 episode for a season 2 and a season 3. That's the thing. That's the deal that we tried to make happen, and you can't. But we won't tell people who we were talking to. We won't do that.
Yeah, no.
But we're going to try to get him. We're still going to try to get him.
But still
keep that secret. We have to come up with another ambush, Jared.
Yep, exactly.
Figure this out.
But But
I love the creative way that we figured it out, and because that's important. Just like on the battlefield, you're going to adapt, and you're going to figure. You have to figure things out. Here, there's no actual bullets flying, so we can sleep on it a little bit. We can discuss it, whatever. Downrange, it has to be like that. But you're doing the same thing. You're just adapting, and you're aggressively solving problems.
That's a great, that's a great way to put it. Aggressively solving problems.
That's what I think of when I'm writing. I'm solving problems on the page, just like I used to solve them on the battlefield.
Yes.
But now, if I mess it up, I can come back the next day and fix it. If I sleep on it, you don't have that option down range.
Yeah, you don't.
Which is why the post-traumatic stress stuff hits so many people, like rethinking things.
Yes.
If I'd only done this, or only done that.
Yeah.
And, I think very few of us are lucky enough to have had things go our way for whatever reason. But regardless, you're aggressively solving problems. That's what I'm doing on the page, and that's what we had to do.
That's what we had to do.
And creatively solve problems. And so we have a mention, and people are like, "Oh, are we going to see him or not?"
Yeah.
Wait, is he just leaving a boat?
Yeah.
Wait, what? And then we get a second mention. And there'll be kind of a little bit more. There'll be another mention a little bit later if people are paying attention. For our viewers that are paying attention, and I know a lot of them have been. But then we have a note.
The note.
And it just has R. The note, and we went back and forth on the note for a while.
That's a visual effect note. That's not actually what's written on that notepad.
No, it's not. It's not.
Rafe was being a little too forthcoming, I believe, in note number 1. Rafe was maybe giving up some stuff that he shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And so, we fixed that in post.
Mm-hmm. And I love the way that with what you came up with for that, or that I think it's great. Kind of leaves it, and people who have read the book are like, "Oh, okay, I see what they did there," and other people are like, "Oh, interesting." So I think it was a creative way to deal with the issue of not being able to get the right person and not being forced into trying to ram someone in that might not have been the right guy.
100%. 100%. And that scene on the beach as they approach the boat, also one of my favorite Chris Pratt scenes.
Oh, yeah? How come?
Just the way he carries himself across the sand.
Agreed.
He looks like a monster.
A brute.
Seriously, and I don't know, Jared, if he trained up just before that kind of final run. I can't remember, but he just, and hat tip to our costume department, Molly McGinnis and her team, for that very simple but awesome operator outfit. He looks like a monster, and you just know what's coming at that point. And the contrast really between his look and Taylor/Ben's is what really sells it. He's all business, all brawn. He's ready.
I'm gonna watch it again.
Go.
I'm gonna watch it again tonight.
It's sick,
go to that scene.
That to me, I'm like,
I love when he drops the notepad.
Yeah,
when he drops the notepad.
Exactly.
And originally that worked with the original note, like a little. And I shouldn't say better but that what was written on the original note and him dropping it there, kind of like kind of almost daring you to come look at it almost. I like that. But it still works just physically dropping that thing as he jumps onto the
It's all
boat there.
business.
And boom, all business.
Yep.
And then Taylor opens that Pelican case. And what's inside? The Barrett 50.
50.
Yeah. And we're going to go get some business done.
Yep.
You know, I love it.
Yep.
I love it. And then off they go. Little different boat, people, you know, a little different boat in the book. It's a protector
Yep.
in the book,
Yep.
but this one works. And it actually sells Pacific Northwest with this style of a boat, which is important when you're filming on a lake and everything's a lake boat.
Exactly. Exactly right. And incredibly, the boat that we got, thank you to our transpo department and the Marine unit, was from the Pacific Northwest. We didn't even have to put that on the boat. They drove that thing down.
Nice.
From
I did not know that.
Anacortes.
See, I'm learning new things every time because it does sell that. And last night when I watched it again, I noticed it before, obviously, but this time I was like, I made note because we were going to talk about it today, and I want a boat like that. But it's that helps sell it. That helps sell the lake as the Pacific Northwest, a lake in Southern California, as you know, as the coast of the Pacific Northwest, and then and off they go. And we got the HRT guys, and if people look closely, they might be able to tell that these boats are probably on a lake. But the way the camera starts, it starts. You got to look close. You have to look close. But you start it. You know, you don't show the whole marina. It's like half. And so it moves off to there fairly quickly. And so most people probably will not notice, but some will.
Yeah. Our Anacortes ferry terminal is Lake Arrowhead. That is, you can, look closely.
What can you do?
You gotta look closely. You know? But damn, again, the boat that HRT has.
That sells it again. The backdrop sells it again.
Yes.
Because it really does look like Pacific Northwest with the backdrop, with the visual effects in there. And that's cool. That's cool. I love the HRT. I love the way that you guys came up with having them be involved again. And so that was genius. But now we're in it. Now we're really in the final run.
Big time.
And it's nighttime, and Reece is on the boat with Ben, but he's not alone.
Yeah.
He's got two operators with him in his memory. And Jared is one as Boozer right there. And the look, Jared, you give, and I've noticed it every time, every single look, but that you've given in this show. But this one also, I mean, Dave, you know what I'm talking about.
Dude, there's so much
look at Chris,
power and emotion
you're like,
in it.
So much power.
Yes.
Yeah. It's and you're right there next to him, and it's like, like it's friggin' amazing.
Incredible.
And for anyone listening, and any producers listening, like, it's not just because you were a SEAL that you can you know, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it's because you studied this craft and you're invested in the craft and you're invested in the show. So you have these two things, you know, that you're personally totally passionate about, totally invested in, on every level you could possibly be. And that look that you give Chris before going over the edge there and dropping into the water. Have you tried Kansas City Cattle Company? If not, why not? Get after it. Here we go. Kansas City Cattle Company. That's kccattlecompany.com. Check them out. Veteran owned and operated. Look at this right here. They have Wagyu beef flat iron steak. This is delicious. One of my favorites. All sorts of steaks. Don't have the fillets out here because I ate them all. Same thing with the tomahawks, which are incredible. And what else do we have? Wagyu beef bavette. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the bavette, B-A-V-E-T-T-E steak, highly recommended. Absolutely love this cut right here. If you haven't heard of this cut, go to that website, kccattlecompany.com. Check it out. And what is this one here? This is the Wagyu beef Kansas City strip steak, also a favorite. And then the kids love burgers made with this stuff. So this is the Wagyu beef right here. Amazing burgers with this. All sorts of stuff on that side. Here we go. Beef chorizo right here. But go check them out for sure. Veteran owned and operated again. And that is kccattlecompany.com/Jack Carr and use code JackCarr15. That's JackCarr 15. Check them out for sure. Veteran owned and operated. Love these guys. Awesome stuff. In fact, I am going to go fire up the smoker right now and throw something on. Thanks, guys. Amazing.
Well, thank you. You know, and from the acting side, it's that whole deal of you get your performance from the other actor, you know, and in that case, I had two other actors, and there were really three with Justin Garza as well, who did great. But having Taylor, opposite, and Chris to my right, that entire scene, seeing the emotion from Taylor as Ben, and seeing Dave, I think we even talked about this, right after this, like what Taylor brought to the table in that scene has been, like, you can see the hurt, you can see the sadness, you can, every bit of it. Whereas Chris, as Reece, was pretty stonewalled. He was he was almost emotionless,
but he's at peace.
Yeah, he's at peace.
Exactly.
But he's at peace.
That's a great,
Exactly. You're exactly
which
right.
is what stands out to me.
Yeah,
And
you're right, exactly. And so Boozer's in the fight. He's going to be with his brother no matter what. And that is when as Boozer looking at that at Ben in that moment, that's what it was. Is like, till the end, I am with him till the end. And so there was a lot of emotion that took place in that scene. And like I said, it came from being in it and seeing Ben and seeing Reece and the tornado of emotions that were going on in that one. Not to mention that Dave, remember I was still in a brace at that point, so I had to take my brace off right before.
And we were like, don't go over, go over.
Yeah.
And you went over.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, and it was the last one, and I remember like, no, I'm going, got to go on this one, and hit the water, and then as soon as I came up, you were right there, like, hey, are you good? You good? You had me my brace and put it back on, and we went on. But what a powerful scene! That was a special one.
No, but thank you, Jared, and also to Justin, who's hopefully listening, because there was a lot of pressure on you guys in that moment, because when we conceived of it, it was going to be almost all of Alpha Platoon.
That's right.
Was going to be on the boat surrounding Reece.
That's right.
And again, because of production, the guys are all working. Everybody was working. We're talking to a ton of people and stuff, and people are working. And we're like, okay, we're going to have Ramirez and we're going to have Boozer.
That's right.
And I, go, all right, well, it is what it is. We have two. We'll have two. But because of the power of that look, all of the emotion that we needed, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. I mean, it's such an important line in terms of why he's accepted that he might die on this raid.
And all of Alpha Platoon is there, essentially, through that look.
You guys, that represented.
You and Justin.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right there. And you don't see this kind of emotion. We're all students of this, even if, and for those listening, if you're a fan of film and television, you're a student of it just by default. And you don't see this kind of emotion in shows like this. Revenge thriller, psychological thriller, conspiracy thriller, political thriller. Yeah. You don't see this kind of emotion in shows like this. Like, I can't point to really any that have this kind of emotion. When Taylor is talking of giving Reece one more chance, let's just turn this thing around and go, let's get out of here. Giving that one last chance. And Chris, like, peace is what I see.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to his death. And that's what I thought of as I was writing this. And that's why when I thought of Revenge Without Constraint, and I thought of all those movies I watched growing up, and how there was always the voiceover that would say he has nothing left to lose. But in my head, I was always thinking, well, he could die, or he could get caught and go to prison, or, like, there's plenty of things to lose. But I like the guy's voice, and I love what I'm seeing, but I'm still in my head. I'm like, So I was trying to figure out, as I started writing this thing, how do I deal with that? Because I've been thinking about it from my earliest memories. And that's where I thought back to Bushido, the samurai, and how they would go into battle thinking they were already dead because that made them more effective and efficient warriors. And that look that Chris has, he's about to go into battle. He's at peace.
The Ronin.
He knows he's already dead.
The Ronin.
Exactly. And he knows he's already dead, which is going to make him the most effective and the most efficient warrior that you could possibly be. And he's after one person now, or so he thinks. And over the side he goes after this incredible emotional interplay between Taylor and Chris and Justin and Jared right there. It's amazing. Like, it's one of the more powerful, I think, scenes of the show.
It's great. And the power of sound too. hat tip to our post team, because
lack of sound.
Exactly. If you watch it, again, the guys go over and they don't make a splash. There's no sound when they hit the water. And it's only when you cut to the objective view down at the water line and you see Reece go over by himself and he splashes into the water. So really the power of sound, so incredible. Our sound team was just remarkable with this.
Amazing.
Yep. No, I love that. I love how there was no sound for those two guys, and then there's sound for Chris. So.
Yep.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's so cool. And then Justin Lubin captures an incredible photo of Chris coming out of the water, all camoed up,
dude.
Coming out with all this gear, coming off the rebreather, out of the water, and there we go. The SEALs, the maritime operation, coming over the beach, using the rebreather to get there, to insert, and then coming up over the beach. And yes, there are some lights there, but you gotta be able to see.
Gotta be able to see.
Can't just have a black screen, for all the tactical Tommies out there, they might have moved a little bit to the left. Well, we got to show it, and then have Chris come over, and then do like kind of a modern day commando. Putting a couple things together there, and then moving off towards the objective. I loved it.
Yeah, dude.
Very rarely do you find an author who actually loves the adaptation of his work.
Oh.
And I could not love this more, be more thrilled with how this came out. And I think then we cut to Hartley and Katie in their final show.
Oh, yes. Interview number 3.
Just going to do some fact checking.
So
Lesson to all those politicians out there. Like, maybe cut it off. Like, maybe this is the time to be busy, or have an assistant come in and tell you got to go somewhere else. So boom, recorder down, and then they do the final showdown. And here we see Hartley revealed.
Oh man, and this is some, we talk about the writing, and this was some just wonderful stuff delivered by Lisa and Hannah. Dan and I did a little work on it, but not much. It's a goddamn awesome confrontation. And then you give it to Gene and Constance. And it's just been coming. That's what I really love about this is, in this, we've talked about kind of challenging the audience. And part of the challenge, it goes all the way back to the pilot. And Antoine talked about this a lot, which is like, don't buy in to the fact that everything has to be go, go, go. The power of patience and suspense. And it is wonderful to hear Antoine talk about this. It's a really true artist talking about this, where the fact that if you are patient, deliberate, that when you get to the moment where things explode, you've earned it. And we talked about it in the pilot in terms of the buildup to the final MRI fight. Well, we do a kind of microcosm of that here with Katie and Hartley. This patient interview, number 1, patient interview, number 2, and then we go into interview 3, and Katie just lays the trap and just catches Hartley in that snare. And damn, it's great. I just love watching them go to battle. And it's one of, again, I feel like maybe we have too many favorite moments in this show. I don't want that to be a drinking game, but it truly, it is 2 actors at the top of their game.
Yeah.
They've been playing off of each other because, again, it's often not what's said, but what's left unsaid or in the listening that you really are figuring out what's going on. And now they just put all the cards on the table, and just that jujitsu, Jared, that you talked about, it just becomes full on jujitsu.
Yep.
Just throwing down. And Katie wins.
Yep.
She wins.
Yep. And we see the real Hartley, and we see Gene explode. It's. I was watching it again last night, and I was like, "Dang!" I was almost like,
Yeah.
And now that I know her personally, I'm like, oh,
She is the nicest person
I want her
in
to,
the
so
world.
great. I'm like,
Let's
I don't
be
want her to
clear
yell at me
here.
like that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, it's so good when it's almost like I want the truth.
Yeah.
You can't handle the
handle
truth.
it. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's a bam on the table, and her snap also in the other scene
Yeah.
when in this scene earlier
Yeah.
when she snaps
Yes.
right before, but you didn't ask him,
Yeah.
did you?
Yes.
I love
And
it.
that's what it comes down to, right?
And then it's a
But you
pause.
didn't ask him, did you? Everything, every argument, counter argument,
Right there,
or every argument has a counter argument until that moment.
and then it stops for a second.
Yep.
There's a pause. Yeah, it's fantastic.
There is no counter argument to that, but you didn't ask him, did you? There's nothing that Hartley can say.
Yeah,
Just absolutely love that scene, and again, just a joy to get to watch two actors like that just go to battle.
incredible, incredible, and and to see Jean do what she did, and then
Oh, real quick thing, really interesting, in terms of, we talk about the visual medium. What is behind Katie in that scene?
ooh. I'm gonna have to go watch it again tonight. Now I'm gonna learn something new here.
It's the fire.
Oh, okay.
Okay, she's framed by the fire, and that's Armando and Sylvan working together to basically, like, she's like an angel of fire coming down on Hartley with the truth.
Love that.
It is just an awesome visual metaphor for what's going on inside of Katie at that moment.
Yeah. And I love that because I use fire in the novels,
Yes.
particularly the first one,
Yes.
very intentionally.
Yes.
Very intentional. So I love how that's that intentional, kind of like the red that we talked
Yes.
about on a previous episode.
Yep.
How everything is intentional.
100%.
Include everything in the opening scene or the opening credits with the music and going across all the books and everything else,
Yep.
and how intentional everything is, and how many things that you have to pay attention to that it really, I think, are accounting for some of these rewatch numbers.
Yeah.
If people wanting to go back and see some of the things that they missed, or if they watched it on a phone or an iPad or on a plane or when there were distractions around.
Yeah.
But then to sit down at home and watch it, and it's dark and it's quiet and there's no distractions, and really pay attention. It's once again, it's respect for the reader, respect for the viewer by making it just not a comfortable, easy watching experience. I mean, you gotta, and I love that.
100%.
You gotta work in life, so I love that you have to work in this show if you want to get everything out of it. So I love that. Same with the books. Like when I was writing it, I thought, okay, you can pull this off the shelf and you can have a great ride and it'd be a revenge story. Boom. Okay. Or you can go a little deeper.
Yeah.
And you can think of it as, okay, this is someone who's becoming a terrorist, becoming an insurgent, becoming what he fought for so many years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you can look at it at that level. And then you can go a little deeper.
Yeah.
And you can look at it as a veteran coming home and bringing the wars from Iraq and Afghanistan home to the front doorsteps of people who have been sending young men and women to their deaths for 20 years. At the time I wrote it, 16. But so there's different levels to it depending on what you want to put into it as a reader or as a viewer. So I love that there's that connection. As
Layers
well.
and levels.
You get
That's the key.
Layers.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love it. I think it makes the show different.
It does. 100%. Yep. Makes it different.
Yeah. I don't think you see that too often in other shows. I think they're actually trying to do the opposite in most of these kind of or shows in general.
Yeah.
Trying to make it easier for everybody, more accessible for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's like a dumbing down.
Yeah.
Of the product.
Yep. No, challenge the audience. It was one of the lessons, I think, out of this. Really cool.
Yeah. I love it. And now we get after it. And you can see old CP right here, weapons handling, mag changes. I mean, love it. And we have Taylor is on that 50 up there. And I mean, working once again as a team and making this assault on this compound with a goal of, what he thinks is the last person on the list. And in he goes. But you see this mag change in here, which people have been telling me, they've been pointing out, like, awesome. So Jared, incredible. You and Ray working with Chris on the skills.
Is that in the fight with Los? Is that the one you're talking about?
I forget. I think it's right after that. So he has to. Is that the one where he has to change again, and right before he goes to the 40 mic?
Yeah.
I think it's right there.
Yeah.
I think it's right there.
Yeah, that one.
So awesome. So
Wicked.
he's onto the pistol. Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom. Put somebody down. Boom. Pistol back in. Rifle up.
Yep.
Bam. And magazine. And so many people have mentioned that to me.
Yeah.
It's been like, now they love the show because they finally saw someone,
Right.
work a problem, fix it, and do it in a real way. It's someone who has, devoted their life to this craft and been downrange to Iraq and Afghanistan and other places around the world. That they'll do that, just do that nod.
Yeah.
Like, Roger that.
Right. And what,
they got it.
What was cool on that one, Jack, was, and Dave, I think you remember probably this conversation with Los when Reece was going against, he was really kind of, we brought Carlos in that day, Carlos's crew and just has been on the range a lot, has great weapons handling, and Dave brought him up and put him in the game that day.
So great.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
And he crushes
And
it.
this
I
is
he was
so
at the
great.
premiere too. I got to talk to him at the premiere.
Real quick. Creatively, this is after he's done the kind of Last of the Mohicans run up the hill. Ben's been clearing out the lights. Reece gets pinned down behind the tree, and he takes the shot right near his eye. And there's a Talos operator behind another tree, and there's a Talos operator up in the balcony. Ben takes out the guy in the balcony, but the Talos operator behind the other tree, that's Carlos.
Yep, which is Carlos. And what we wanted to show right there is Reece and Carlos both have the same rifle. Both have basically the same amount of rounds, right? Boom, 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 boom. They're trading shots at each other, trading shots. Reece comes around the tree, and so they're going to be running out of rounds at about the same time. And so the operators will, if you look closely, you'll see it, but you have two tactics taking place, and you see one of them wins, and it's Carlos runs out, Chris runs out. Carlos goes to do a mag change. Chris transitions.
Man, I'm gonna have to watch this again.
Yeah.
Chris transitions to his secondary, which 9 times out of 9 you're going to be able to get that pistol quicker than you're going to be able to throw a fresh mag in your rifle. And so that's, Jack, what we wanted to show there. I'm gonna have to watch that again because I was not there for this night. Battle of Tactics, yeah.
And I was so bummed I had to miss this night.
Yeah.
I came the next week.
Yeah.
But I was so bummed I missed this whole section.
Yeah, but if you go back and
that is
you
awesome.
go back,
I'm gonna watch it.
Go back
again
and
with
watch that closely, and you'll see Carlos doing a mag change versus Chris going to his secondary, transition into his secondary, and that's what gives him the one up to beat him by that much.
I did not think I could love this show anymore, but I know I do.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that moment.
That's fantastic.
This is awesome.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. And then boom, he's back, and then he does this mag change, and that's the one people are talking to me about is boom.
Yep.
So
So
that
smooth.
one you have to work for.
Yeah.
The one you just talked about, I think you have to work for that one.
You do.
And I'm gonna go watch it again
Yeah.
because I didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah.
And but then boom, that one that's obviously right in front of your face. The next one that he does is awesome.
Yeah.
Is awesome. And then we have a cool moment too. Or he has M79. He has a full M79, so not a pirate gun. So he has an M79. Pirate gun is if you cut it
off.
the stock and the actual barrel, and then you have essentially like a handgun that fires a 40 mic. But I think we wanted to do that, but then we couldn't modify the thing because there was some like a law or like we would have gone to prison I think, or something. Like you're not allowed.
There are
to
limits.
saw
These
off
are
the
only
stock
limits.
and.
We don't want Jack going to
Yeah,
prison.
but I think we wanted to do that,
Yeah.
right? I think I was like, let's make it a pirate gun. Let's saw
No,
off
we
the
can't
thing.
do that, Jack. You'll go to prison.
I know. I'm like, dang it, we can just borrow mine. Never mind. Let's edit that out. And I love this part for a couple of reasons. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before, but I'll talk first about the talking with Ben.
Yeah.
And when he says, "Hey, I'll see you on the other side." So Ben's let him know HRT inbound.
They've landed. Yeah, HRT's landed on that beach. They're engaged with Talos.
Ben's let him know, get out of there.
Yep.
But Reece once again, peace.
Peace.
And he's like, I'll see you on the other side. Powerful. But then he shoots this 40 mic out of an M79. It might be a little close for those that are really looking because it has to have, so it might be right on. It's hard to tell because I wasn't there. If I was there, I would have paced it.
33 rotations.
What's the yardage?
It's
What's the
got to have
yardage?
33 rotations on the.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, so I believe it's right 30. I think it's 33. I think we're right on the.
I think we're
on the
okay
cusp.
because
right
I
there?
think that's a
You
lens.
think you're okay?
That's a lens compressing it. That's actually a pretty.
That must be it.
big
Okay, so it was
space.
perfect.
Yeah, because
It
we
was perfect.
talked about it on the day and in post as well, Dave. Remember
Yep.
we were
Nice.
we were working on getting the delay right
The
from
delay.
the
Exactly.
Yeah,
to
because you
the-
can't tell. It's close.
Yeah.
Like on film, I was looking at it last night, and I was like,
yeah.
But the only reason that I really pay attention is because I may have fired a
Oh,
little too close.
Yeah.
yeah. The lens choice was not ideal. I think then if it looks that close.
Yeah.
Well, it's right
Yep.
there. Like it's on the like from a viewer's perspective, not having been
Yeah.
there that night, like it's right on the
on the
line.
line.
You know, but if Jared was there and says it's legit, then I'm with
It
him.
was 30.
But the only reason I pay extra attention is because in Iraq I tried to breach a door in the middle of a firefight with a 40 mic, and there's things going on crazy. You know, there's
God.
bullets flying everywhere. It's insanity. And I was like boom, 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 and I've been trained my entire life. I know the rotations and I know the distance, but in that moment, I think I went Hollywood. It's possible I went Hollywood.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm just going to blow this door open.
God.
And I wasn't like right up against
Yeah.
it. Like I was across the street, but it wasn't quite far enough.
Oh, no.
And it bounced off.
32
It bounced
rotations.
off?
Straight off. Yeah, it was 32. I was like, 33.
Yeah.
You know, I was one rotation off. You know, it was close.
That's going to be
Yeah.
a title of a book someday. 32 rotations.
That's awesome.
Seriously. And so it did bounce off. So then we had to run across and climb up and go in the
God.
window, come down and open it from the
Unreal.
inside. It ended up working out just fine, but that's why I pay extra attention to
Yes.
that one.
Makes sense.
The
Yeah.
M79.
Makes sense.
But hey, that's how it goes sometimes, you know. It's
Yeah.
just, hey, lessons learned,
Lessons
You're,
learned.
you're always learning, you're always adapting, you know. So pay attention. So everybody listening, make sure you're at 33.
33.
Yeah.
rotations rather
Yeah,
than-
Reese was at 34. It was 34
Yeah.
rotations.
Yeah.
We made sure of it.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's great.
Perfect. But then Chris enters that house, and man, the gun handling
Up the stairs.
is awesome. Up the stairs, switching shoulders, and he's good at it. He sells it. It doesn't look gimmicky, like changing, like it's correct, getting the right angles. Like
Yeah. How many people have reached?
That was cool.
How many people have reached out to you on that one, Jack?
Yeah.
Like, man, that shoulder switch, that was crazy. And that was once again Ray.
it's so smooth.
So smooth. Ray, Ray had taught it to him before. I remember AJ worked with him a little bit on it in the tunnels, but on the day Ray showed that whole movement, and Chris picked it up. I mean, one hitter,
remarkable.
Yeah, just picked it up, and
Yeah.
that's one of the texts I get all the time is that going up the stairwell, clearing, going up, switching, coming around, switching shoulders again, doing that peak, and then he gets eyes on, gets back out, preps that smoke, boom, throws it in. That whole sequence, he crushed it.
Oh, big time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, one thing for the fans to know is we were so lucky to find this house out in Arrowhead, but we could not fire inside the house. It was one of the restrictions on the location. It's a common restriction, and heck yeah. So everything that Reece is doing in that kind of foyer as he enters up the stairs, that's all on the practical location. But oh my goodness, hat tip to Warren and our production design team and our special effects team, set deck team, because as he comes around, it's so seamless in the edit. But as he enters and he peeks around and tosses that smoke, he tosses the smoke at the practical location, I feel like, and then it actually moves to a set on stage. That hallway and that hallway fight, that's all on stage. And it's such a seamless transition between practical location onto set. And then we get into that hallway fight, which is just rowdy. Just rowdy.
So
good.
No, I love it. We incorporate a little technology in there with the thermal, which is great. Exploiting all technical and tactical advantages. A student of warfare, harkens back to that. And I wasn't there at Lake Arrowhead, but then as soon as that thing detonates, and we have the smoke. Then I'm back on set. So now I'm there for this final week of filming, and I'm there, and that is awesome. And here we have Cowboy, UFC fighter who just retired. We got to see fight and retire. All three of us got to go to UFC and see that a couple weeks ago.
Cowboy retires.
Amazing.
Our Terminal List cast
gloves
member.
down in the middle.
Yeah.
And what did he say? He says, "I'm going to go be a movie star now."
Yeah.
Amazing.
With Terminal
So
List
cool.
written on the canvas as he says that.
With Terminal List on the canvas, and he takes, what does he take?
Oh,
Takes one of these to the head.
What is it? Oh,
Nice. Tomahawk check.
Tomahawk check.
Look at you guys.
Boom.
Yes.
Yes.
Tomahawk check. Everybody has.
Always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bam. Amazing.
Yeah.
And he takes it to the head, which was really cool.
Great
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, we got Romrell in there. Another shout out to Romrell for friggin' crushing it again and taking those hits and being so good at everything that he does, being Chris's stunt double, and Cowboy for taking this to the head. No makeup.
Nope.
No makeup.
None.
No, Cowboy.
Just a
Cowboy
tough
didn't
UFC
make up.
fighter.
Yeah, that's and he was. Dave, do you remember the day before we called him and he was sitting in a bar in Cheyenne, Wyoming? He was doing a whole different event. He had a big some kind of like four-wheeler event or something, and I'm butchering it as far as what it's actually called, but like a sponsored event on a team that he's on, and a good buddy of mine, Tate Fletcher, connected us. We tried to get Tate Fletcher and he wasn't available. He's big in the industry, big stuntman, actor, great guy.
Yep.
So Dave, he connected us to Cowboy. We call Cowboy, who's, like I said, day before, sitting in a bar, and we say, "Hey man, can you come out and do this?" A little bit of a pause. Yeah, I'll do it. Hops on a flight that night, comes in, works, and then we got him out the same night, didn't we?
Same day. Same day.
Amazing.
Yeah,
crazy.
Came in, did it, tested him, did all the protocol,
and
he did the fight scene. And that's what's cool about having such a high-level fighter like Cowboy. And Chris, well, you have Romrell who does part of the fight and Chris who does part of the fight, but both of them have a fighting background as well. And so you can see the high level of fighting that's taking place, the fighting within the feet, for position, and then the head position when they're Cowboys, trying to drive with his head, and just the levels of fight IQ that are taking place during that fight sequence is amazing. And then top it off with the tomahawk to the head, and Cowboy just committing, falling straight back, no patches, boom, just he looked dead. He looked dead. So great. Did it. And then he got on a plane and got out of there.
Speaking of dead, we have to hit on the next Dallas operator, because this was kind of an amazing moment. Clemens.
Yes.
Clemens.
Yeah, and he's such a great guy, so you don't want to kill him because you got to get to know him.
Jason, the actor, was awesome. Awesome dude.
Yeah.
And but there he is at the end of the hallway. But
I had a little bit of an issue when I saw this.
This was a Jack Carr note.
Well, we had a little bit of a Hollywood moment.
We had a Hollywood moment.
And because, he opens this door and, puts down his gun like, you would see in maybe some other films maybe.
Yeah.
And open it. Okay, going to open it. And then typically, you've done a good deed. You've done your thing, so you got to go. You're allowed to live. And we're just going to go in. Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. Because guess what that guy can now do? And guess what every operator watching this, sitting on the couch, will say? Well, he just dropped his gun right here, and you entered this thing. He's just going to pick this thing up and shoot you in the back of the head. Like, you lost him.
Yep.
You lost him. So, Jason, I'm sorry, but you had to go.
Yeah.
And, you did. You opened it, but you had to go because you are preventing him from now completing this list. And this Revenge Without Constraint, you're on the battlefield. And I talk about it in the novel, actually, when I talk about the operators that are outside of Hartley's estate, which is in Fisher's Island in the novel. But I talk about them as, hey, you know what you signed up for. And one day the Reaper can come to call, and you know it.
That's it.
But I also, they have wives, girlfriends, so I put that in there. They are people, but also they are on the battlefield. And they made a conscious choice to be there.
Business.
And if we left him live,
it's inauthentic. It's inauthentic. This was a really interesting moment because we had written that character to kind of be the operator that he lets live, which is very Hollywood, looking back on it. But But ultimately, what really cemented it was the tactical side. And you watch the cut, and you're like, wait, you never see him leave. You're like, that's what you said. There's two options. We can either see him fully leave,
and Reece would have to watch that.
And Reece has to watch him
and have his
go.
back now to hear his objective and an open door,
Yep.
which he doesn't really know what's behind.
And I was like, Jack, we didn't shoot that. We don't have that footage. And he's like, well, then he's gonna have to die. And so that was through Scott, our editor, and visual effects and sound, created that moment.
Amazing.
And it's a real moment because it charges up Reece in a way that when he enters this safe room, you're just like, oh, nothing is going to stop him. Nothing is going to stop him. After
you don't have that lingering thing. What about the operator he just let live that he now has his back to that has a loaded weapon within arm's reach?
He's just, at this point, unstoppable consequence. That's what Reece is at this moment. Unstoppable consequence. And what I really appreciated, because this is the interesting thing about authenticity and creative working together, is it actually made Katie more powerful in the scene. Because Reece is coming in and Katie gets up and stops him. And you have that incredible exchange between them, Reece bleeding out, this moment with the list. And you just, I think my hope is that the audience doesn't know which way it's going to go. Whether you've read the book or not. I love it. I hope in that moment you don't know.
And so I have heard people on talking about it online or about this scene and killing this Talos operator and them saying like, oh, geez, why did he have to kill that guy? Guess who I haven't heard that from? Any of the operators who have gone down range to Iraq and Afghanistan in the last 20 years. That's where I've not heard that comment from.
But it's important. I mean, this is why it's wonderful to have these moments to talk about this. Because it's really an interesting moment where authenticity, we've always said we're going to be the most authentic show, hopefully ever, but certainly in modern military thriller times. And then, again, what comes out of it is the creative discovery of, well, oh my God, it makes Katie more powerful as these two forces collide in that safe room.
Yep.
And man, this scene is just intense. One of the most talked about scenes, certainly on the creative side, as we were doing it. And hat tip here, Jack. This was you were huge in this. So, one of the key characters that informed the Hartley in the series, and I think we mentioned this, is Max von Sydow from Minority Report. And as we're kind of going, what's going to happen in here? What's going to happen? What is going to happen? I think you sent an email as we're all up in Lake Arrowhead and said, this is about legacy. And her legacy has failed. And she has dealt with suicide in her past. You open that drawer and you have that gun. All the stakes go up. All the stakes go up. But she's going to use it on herself and take accountability and take herself out. And it was just like light bulb, boom, like clarity. And we had the final scene.
Yeah, because we didn't really know. Yeah. I mean, in the scripts, it was different. And I was always like, I guess, it's different. There's a lot of differences, and but they all are grounded in this foundation thus far. Yep. And then we have this other ending that I think we filmed.
Well, kind of filmed, not really.
Kind of filmed. Okay.
No, I mean, we knew this was going to be it because of the performance that we got on the night. Because it's just Gene's in this incredible place of strength and vulnerability, right? And Constance and Katie is in this incredible place of passion and just all out pleading. And Reece, like we've said, Chris is just pure consequence moving through that whole house to that moment. And then,
and we get a hint that maybe there's somebody else, a little hint.
oh yeah,
in there.
Right.
There's somebody else. Doesn't matter. She lit the fuse. Like Reece is there to kill and to finish his list. This is his mission. And he's in there. And then I remember a lot of talk about how this is going to end, how this is going to play, and what's because it's different than the book. But so we have other characters that would have been in there with her in the book too, that are not in there with her. So it's just her alone. And there's a different ending that was kind of being tossed around, or we were thinking about. And then I remember talking to Antoine about it, and I still have the text that he sent me about it, which is I love, and talking to Chris about it, and getting on the same page when we were already on the same page, and then we have what we have.
Yeah, it's really. Which
fits.
The team, man. It's really an exciting aspect of this show, and then, man. It's just big. We talk about big scene after big scene in the penultimate episode, but here, we go from this to that final showdown on the beach.
Yep. Once again, I said it in the last episode, and I'll say it again here, that you guys were right. And I wanted a different little thing happening. That's the writer, that's the novelist in me wanting this different scene. And then you guys made the right call again. And I love how it ended up.
Oh, dude.
My Way would not have been better visually. Maybe in a novel, because of the way you're invested in this story. And it was just a minor thing. Super minor. But I love the way it ended up. And you guys for sure made the right call on how to have the final confrontation with him and Tony as Reece disappears into the water.
Oh, dude. And in the line, "I'm already dead." that might be my favorite Chris Pratt delivery.
Yeah. I love it.
I remember Jared. We're it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. on the beach filming that, and we all had just goosebumps, just full goosebumps, because Savon and getting that little push in.
Yep.
Just have that like glimmer of light in his eye. But he's just been through it.
Dropping the weapons, but continuing forward, picking up the fins.
Yep.
The rebreather, moving towards the water. Yep. And we talked a lot about the timing. Remember, we talked a lot about timing, like how long is Tony going to be there? What's the pause like? Right. And there was some editing that had to go on there. Yep. But I think you guys nailed it. I love it. Yeah.
JD, man, crushing it.
Again.
Yeah. And even Christina with the voice over the radio, that's, after the fact and all of that, just what's going on in her voice as she makes that call. It's great moment. And then the monster disappearing into the deep, that final shot as he walks into the moonlight.
Back from whence he came.
Yeah. So
I come from the water.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
All right. The water. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
Oh man, so good. I love it. Jared, what did you think of the final scene? So once we killed Jason with a couple of shots there. Sorry, buddy. And in Chris goes. And what do you think of that final scene from Chris there, having Hartley, having Katie right there, trying to talk him out of it, then dropping over to the balcony, dropping down, moving towards the water. JD seeing him as Tony moving towards that water, and then not taking that shot. And what do you think of that whole sequence?
Yeah, I think it's going back to the Hartley death scene. If you rewind back from there, you have Reece, go through and kill as many people as he has to kill. Like we talked about, he was unstoppable. Nothing was going to stop him. To get up to Hartley, there was no way Hartley was going to make it out of that situation alive. And it was great. It was so powerful to see, in a way, her take back the power of like, nope, I'm doing this on my own. This is my mess. I'm cleaning it up. I'm out. She handles it, and that's the name off the list, and it's whether Reece did it or she did it. it was done. The name is marked off. Now he's going back. And then, to fast forward a little bit to Tony, seeing him on the beach, and Tony having that moment, seeing the condition that he's in. Tony's been living with that conflict of, man, this guy is, he's wrong, but how wrong is he? He's not wrong in hunting these people down. He's wrong in what he's doing once he's hunted them down, and so Tony's living with that conflict. And so when they have that moment on the beach when Tony comes up behind him, knowing a frogman's going to return to the water, he sees Reece go into the water, and comes up and has that moment of Tony has to make the decision at that point, and Matt comes up on comms and, hey, do you see him? And a little hesitation, nope. However he says it, no, I don't have eyes on. After Reece delivers that epic line, I'm already dead, and grabbing the Draeger, grabbing his fins and disappearing. And I had somebody ask me like, "Whoa, could he really, just disappear underwater like that?" I'm like, "You're dang right he could. Like that's his tools to get him out of there.
Amazing.
Once he goes
Navy SEALs.
That's right. Yeah. Once he goes underwater, you will not see him again, and that was how Tony just let him go into the dark. 'Cause I think Tony probably thought like, there's no way this man walks this off. He's going to let him, kind of like a dog when it's on his last days, just wants to go out into the brush and find a place to die, and I think that was Tony kind of trying to give him that, so powerful. And then with the moonlight, he goes down in the moonlight and just visually, amazing.
Yep.
Incredible. And I hadn't thought about this till just right now. We had a Patrick Swayze line earlier, and then remember the end of Point Break? We'll get him when he comes back in. He's not coming back.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Similar. I didn't think about that till right now.
Yep. So good.
Man. Yeah. God, I love it. Yeah. I'm going to save how I was picturing that little ending thing. I'm going to save that for a future.
That's right. Exactly.
Somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it works. It works elsewhere.
Yes.
Reece doing a little outsmarting, and I like it. Amazing. And then, bam, you take a breath for 1 second.
Little breath.
And then, douche. And
little time jump.
Washington, D.C., Capitol, right there. Katie's there in a hotel room. And for those, once again, you got to work for it. There's 3 files, and you can see the first and you see the second one right there. First one says Oberon Analytics, I believe.
That's the shell company, the last shell company.
The second one,
Rafe Hastings.
You got to look, though. Mm-hmm. I think we went back and forth with that on visual effects, too, for a little bit, right?
100%. I think Rafe was on top before. Because this actually was shot as a post-credit scene. This was going to be the final scene. And in the edit, we realized that we needed a breath between the raid and the bin scene. And so we repurposed our post-credit scene. And that post-credit scene was only going to be about Katie searching for Reece. That was it. And Rafe was the Easter egg to do it. So when we realized, wait, no, we didn't Oberon connective tissue scene. That's what we need here, a little breath. Mm-hmm. So we actually used some visual effects and we rewrote what was on the text messages between them.
Text message,
Reshot
full text message.
That or not reshot it, we just visual effects it. And so we built it about the fact that now Reece and Katie are working together.
Yeah, I love what you replaced it with because I know a Katie, and this is exactly what she would text.
Exactly. Never going to happen. That won't happen.
Like 100. I see it every time. I'm like,
oh,
that's what she would say.
just relentless, right?
No
I mean,
doubt.
we talk about that all the time with the Katie character. Totally relentless, right?
Yep. But so cool. So I love that for that reason. And then here we are. Boom. Peru. And I love the way it comes across the screen, and then Peru. And I think then a lot of people are like, oh,
yeah.
I think that may be the point where people that have been paying attention ish are like, oh,
Yes.
okay, we've had
Yep.
multiple couple mentions of Peru now.
Yep.
We see the Oberon analytics. Okay, we've had those layers that we talked
Yep.
about, and now here we are
Yep.
in Peru. And we had a Josh. Is this the Josh Hall surfboard? Is this the one that's from Josh Hall?
The
Did he run it for
board.
us?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
surfboard. Yeah. So the Josh Hall surfboard in there. Amazing guy. And so we got that in there. And there were a couple surfboards in the show. But so Josh Hall surfboard is in there, and Ben out of the water. Love the out of the water piece. Onto the boat. And a lot of the wives like this scene for some reason as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's strange.
I
I don't
wonder
know
why.
Like
Don't get it.
I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Can't quite piece that part
Yep.
together. Maybe not.
Yeah. This scene in the 101 boat scene, both
Yeah.
tested through the roof for some reason.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thanks, Taylor. And this one, man, and Jared, once again on this one, like figuring out this, and this is really cool about the adaptability, like being adaptive. And, you know, once you have these scripts and then the actors bring different things to the roles, and situation and terrain changes certain things, and changes in episode 1, 2, 3, 4 affect the rest of the episodes. I mean, it really all culminates right here with this ending and how this plays out. And Jared, you are instrumental in how this ends, because you're there every single day, because you've seen all these changes, because you see what Taylor brought to the role, what Chris brought to the role, your background in the SEAL teams with the brotherhood, and how you wanting to honor that and everything that we do. And you're instrumental in how this plays out. And I was there for this final scene. It was very emotional for Chris, very emotional for Taylor, because they've developed a relationship, yes, as characters throughout this past few months, but also, you know, personally. And so you have all this coming to a head in this final night when we're filming this thing on this boat. And you're instrumental to how this ended. I remember going back and forth, text, email, scripts, like for a while, knowing that it wasn't quite right and knowing how important it was to make it right. And then we ended up with what we filmed. But that's in large part because of your investment.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it, and you're exactly right. As far as we had to nail this one, we had to get it right, and we had to get right the scene between brothers, you know, and understanding this was really Reece's last brother. His brothers had been killed in the tunnels with him, you know, and he's dealing with double heartbreak. He's dealing with the heartbreak of realizing Ben was the other one, you know, the other account, the other person that was in on it. That's the first heartbreak. The second heartbreak is understanding I have to end this now, you know, and talking about that boat scene previously that we talked about with Boozer and Ramirez and Ben and Reece on the boat. I saw in that moment Ben and the hurt and the pain. And Dave, we talked about it later on, and Jack, we went back and forth on text later about how that shaped, you know, that last line of when Ben says, "It's okay, brother, let's finish the list." You know, that was, we talked about this so much of that was Ben kind of having to become the stronger one in that moment, you know, and saying like, no, it's time. Like we got to do that. And man, that was, I feel like, was it either super late at night or super early in the morning when we had that call up in Arrowhead? Super early, because I stayed. We obviously we worked all
night. You were coming off. Yeah, we were on split and on a kind of split. You were coming off the nighttime group that shot maybe like the points of view out at the lighthouse with Max and stuff.
Yes,
I think. And I was waking up, getting ready to go do a scene, and we had this call, and the big thing that came out of it was the final line.
That's it.
Let's finish the list.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because I think probably the most kind of like fan debate is about, did Ben have to die? That's probably the biggest fan debate. In the book, no brainer. He got it. He's got to go. Like you get it done, right? But in the show, early on, we made a decision with Taylor that Ben set up Alpha Platoon, but he had nothing to do with Lauren and Lucy. And that was this big shift, right? And so that allows him to be 100% genuine as he helps Reece hunt down everybody who killed Lauren and Lucy. But ultimately, he, like Cox, and this was the big thing, Jared, you helped point out, like these two deaths are tied together, Cox's death and Ben's death, because they've betrayed the Brotherhood.
That's right.
And they've betrayed, and really Ben has betrayed his closest brother.
Yep.
And the thing that I will talk to any fan who brings up, oh, he didn't have to shoot Ben. He didn't have to shoot Ben. It's like, well, Ben wanted this moment.
Yeah, Ben
he needed to be shot.
He gave Chris and he gave James Reece
the permission.
That's it.
Let's finish the list.
Boom. Oh my!
Such a powerful
God.
So powerful. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that conversation, Dave, and finding that, and Jack, us then talking about it, and finding that line, and knowing like that's it, that's the one, and man, and working with Taylor probably a week and a half or 2 weeks before that, building up on that scene, because Taylor, it was already messing with Taylor.
It was messing with him.
Yeah,
big time.
Both of them.
For sure, both of them, and I know at the end when we finished that night, I went home that night and just sat on my balcony, and I may or may not had a bottle of whiskey and sat there and just like, because it was.
I remember that night too.
It was heavy.
We had shots there on set.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Just
right outside.
Heavy one, man, and so just wow, it worked.
No, and two actors. We talked about Constance and Jean and their big moment, and then here we are with Taylor Kitsch, Chris Pratt, and this moment in the boat. I can watch a scene 1,000 times, probably have, and just again, because it's genuine.
Absolutely,
like those guys genuinely care about each other, and they bring that into that scene, and that kind of thinking about their brothers from their past, and just dude. It's epic.
And we didn't even mention the tattoo. Oh,
yeah.
The bone frog.
Oh, yeah. And that's...
got some new ink. At the time I got it, I didn't know if it was for you.
Lisa and Hanan had that in the first writer's draft. So good. That line. So good. Unbelievable.
Now I know.
Love it. Just love it.
Now I know.
Yep.
Yeah, and what's great about the scene also is very Hemingway-esque in that there is zero fluff.
Yeah.
Every single word means something in this scene, and that's what stands out to me about it as well.
And then, man, we go.
Well, before we get to that part, 3 bells.
Oh, yeah. We cut outside, and that's another thing. A lot of people
Jared,
ask.
did you catch it?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that I noticed that it was 3.
Yeah. 3 bells.
Dang, really?
3 bells.
Yep.
Because I've known every time I've watched it, I've been like, oh, I need to rewind and make sure it was 3. Yep. And last night I did. I haven't done it before. I've thought about it every time, but I'm like, oh wait, did I just hear the first bell or was that the second?
Really?
3 bells. Is it randomly in there?
The theme.
But last night I was like, I'm going to pay attention.
Yep. That's one of our runners, right?
3 bells.
That's one of our runners.
Boom.
Wow, I missed that. I missed it.
Yep.
I only hear.
And you're out.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got to go back again.
Yeah.
Watch it again.
Ring out.
Yep. No, I love that last shot
out.
too.
Out.
That wide there. It's great.
Rang out on that last shot.
How cool.
On that wide angle.
Yep.
Yeah.
How cool.
Crazy. Oh, and yeah. We'll get to this at the end though. That filming that last scene from the beach where we come back and look at that beach. It was so cool to be there with Sylvan and being on there. And Max is right next to me. And Jared, you were on the boat,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yep.
You were on the boat. I missed the boat because I had to do something else. And thank goodness, because I think a lot of people were a little seasick out
We
there.
never came back. Yeah.
They were suffering. Yep.
On it.
Some people came over the beach.
Yeah.
Crew.
Skied over, yeah.
And they came over in some fairly large surf. And I was like, dang. Yeah. And they all came out totally soaked in their clothes. Huge smiles.
They wanted off.
Huge smiles.
Yeah. they're happy to be on dry land. That's what the smiles were.
Yeah. I was on a nice boat, and there was fishing rods, so I was fishing the entire time. Didn't catch anything, but I had a good setup. I can't complain. It was nice.
Yeah, no, I was texting you out there, and I was watching. I was on the beach, and we had a little setup right there, which was fantastic. Had a great. It was amazing, but yeah, now we go back to this scene that people are texting me about all the time, and they're like, and serious people are texting me that it really hit them emotionally. Yes. And this talk, and we've come full circle with the starling and hitting the glass and telling the truth to Lucy, and then sitting on the couch and having that conversation that so many operators have had with their families over the last 20 years. And it's powerful. It hits people. And you don't expect it when you sit down for kind of maybe a show like this, because it's powerful. Mm-hmm. It's emotional, and it hits some of the hardest among us at a place that they don't usually get hit.
I mean, again, you guys have lived this life, and for me, Jack, that was like something that jumped out immediately from the book, which is those of you who have children have to prepare them for a world where you don't come back. But for this man to be recalling that with a child that he's lost and a wife that he's lost, it's just, I mean, it was part of the very first pitch was this moment. And I was and I've said this in interviews before, it's maybe the thing I was most afraid of to execute, because I thought about it for so long. But again, you know, when you got Chris, Riley, Arlo, great, incredible director, crew, it's just, and then the way Scott, the editor, intercuts it with Reece on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't. I'm pretty sure we didn't write it as an intercut. I'd have to go back and look at the script, but I'm pretty sure we didn't write it as an intercut. And the intercutting,
so good,
was just a moment when, like, because he showed us that version, and we're just like, that's it, that's it. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at the list, and it's really only because he's finally completed it that he's allowed access to that memory. And he lets it go, and that shot, not an easy shot to get out on the water in a Marine unit, but that wind took it. That's not CG. That's all practical. The wind.
It was windy.
Took it from the hand, like just landed it perfectly in place. And Chris's performance and Ruth's music here. It's powerful, and we need that one little thing pointing us to where he's going in season 2, Nyasa.
Oh yeah, and for those who have read the book, they will know. But this is another one of those situation, train, dictate, because we're out there. Well, Jared, you're out there. David, where were you for this?
I think at this point I'm in post, or I'm on set, because we're also filming other stuff at this time. This was actually earlier in the shoot for the finale.
Okay, got it. Because I'm on the beach. Jared, you're out there on the water, and it's windy. And so you can't not have this list and this drawing by Reece's daughter Lucy get taken by the wind. So there were quite a few of those that went into the Pacific that day, drawings, in order to get it right. But I mean, so, and the way I wrote it is I thought back to the burials at sea that I saw as a kid on either documentaries, maybe it was Victory at Sea, but I was very young when I became aware of funerals and bodies getting sliding off into the water and sinking down. And it might have been Victory at Sea. There was a series, back in the day, for those that remember. But it might have been that. But regardless, that's how I wrote it. That's when I was writing that, and I remember exactly where I was when I was writing it. I was out in Fisher's Island, actually writing it there, and I'm writing it as a burial. So I'm thinking of this picture that Reece drops into the ocean. as a burial, as that body sliding off into the ocean. And so that's how I'm describing it in the novel. And we can't do that on the day
windy.
because the
It's just
wind
crazy.
is howling.
Yeah.
You know? And so he has to hold it up and let it go.
Oh my God. I know. Okay. So now,
And it works
I remember exactly where I was. So I'm back at the studio working in the edit, and we have what's called Q-Take. Q-Take allows us remotely to view what's being filmed on set. And was Jared, on with you or with Max? I think maybe with Max.
Yeah, it was Max.
And this is
Max was with me on the shore and on the beach.
And I'm texting with Max, and Jack, this is what we're texting about. It's like, wait, it's got to be the burial moment. And Sylvan is like, it's too windy. We cannot do it. And so it took, I can't remember how many takes to get that one where it just falls perfectly. He lets go and it just falls perfectly in frame, and the camera can tilt down.
Yeah. And it works. It works perfect. Yeah. It's powerful. I mean, gosh, that scene with Lauren and Lucy Reece on the couch speaks to so many operators. And then we have the burial at sea. I think that works amazing. I've always, loved the ocean, and of course it harkens back to the sea and seals and all that stuff. So it works on so many different levels. And then we have the hint, another one to a season 2, to a book 2, to a destination. And there it is. Not just Mozambique, but Nyassa Game Reserve right there. And I love how the camera plays that. And I love it. It's awesome.
To season 2, fellas.
Season 2.
Let's go.
There we go.
Season 2. Here we go. Here we go.
Amazing.
Man, amazing. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brothers.
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Truly thank both of you. Jack, thank you once again for the man, the mentor, the leader you were in 2013 to me. Thank you for writing an amazing book, giving us the material. Dave, you stepping up, stepping in, seeing the vision on how to put it on screen, and being the leader that you were, and just running it, putting a team together the way that you did. I mean, what an honor to be a part of this entire production, this process, all of it. So thank both of you. I'm very, very thankful.
No, thank you, Jared. Truly, Jack, as well. This work ethic, collaboration, and team ethos, we were able to really bring that because you guys have lived it. And truly appreciate that. Appreciate Chris, Antoine, everybody else who helped set that tone. And really, thank you to the fans here, because it takes a lot to embrace a book and a show the way that you guys have. And we appreciate that you've enjoyed being challenged, that you've been open to the changes, and that you've seen the real passion and honor that went into the work. So thank you all.
Yep.
Man, incredible. It was a powerful show to make. It was an emotional book to write, therapeutic book to write in many cases. And we've talked about a lot of people on this, Chris and Antoine, all the directors, everybody involved in this. There was 350 people on set-ish, in various stages here and there throughout this process that made this happen. But Kat, Sam, Kat, the unsung hero here. We have David Bowles as an unsung hero who, reconnected us after a few years. So we have him, and then we have Kat, always there. Without Kat, I don't know.
She was there,
and then
first meeting.
So Kat, thank you for everything. And then without you guys, David, a different showrunner, obviously a very different show. Without the trust that you and Chris and Antoine had in Jared and in Ray in particular, and Max, once again, be a very different show. It wouldn't be as powerful as it is, wouldn't resonate the way it does, particularly with our operators. And for me, hearing what I'm hearing from those guys at that tactical level that have been doing it for so long, that's the payoff right there. I mean, the critics, they're just looking for a way to hate it. They're looking for a way to not like anything that Chris in particular does, to not like anything that has these ties to really a very powerful base. And so to hear it, what I'm hearing from guys that picked up the gun and went down range and did this for the country and sacrificed so much, you guys did it, what we set out to do. And so hearing those reviews from them, that's really all that matters to me. And I know it does to you guys too. So thank you again. And thank you to Ironclad for doing this, Kansas City Cattle Company for doing this as well. And it's been so much fun. I wish we could continue on this path. I wish we could just sit there and watch
a watch party
and together sit on a couch and do a watch party and just film it. That would be amazing. And then point out things and pause it. That would be amazing to do that with us three and Chris and Antoine and just sit there.
He's sick.
And watch it.
He's sick.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever done that before. I mean, they have director's cut maybe back in the DVD days where you could have a director talk about certain things, but it would it would be just the movie and them interrupting it every now and again to say a certain thing here and there. There it was fine, but to do it like that, have some drinks and watch it like that and film that. No one's ever done it before. Maybe we'll edit this part out because I don't want anyone else to do it before we do.
Next season. Next season.
Love it.
There we go. No, thank you guys so much. It's meant the world to me, and I love the other projects we have going on, and I know we're going to continue to do cool things together, and that's what it's all about. And Chris and Antoine told me the same thing early on. They just want to do great projects with great cool people. Because they get to choose. You only have so much time left on. We don't know how much time we have on this planet, and we get to choose how we spend this time.
That's right.
And so, they want to do it, doing great projects, cool people, and let's
keep it going.
So hopefully we have a season 2. We'll see. Maybe we'll all text Chris after this and find out what's going on. But hopefully we'll get a season 2. Hey, but if not, this has been incredible.
Absolutely.
So even if we don't get a season 2, for me, this is amazing.
Perfect
It's been
ride.
incredible. Wouldn't even be a letdown because we've had an amazing journey together, and I sincerely appreciate it. And long live the brotherhood.
Long live the brotherhood.
Take care, guys.